So I'm here today with Dr. Claire Craig. Dr. Craig is the Provost of the Queen's College at Oxford, and a very prestigious position. But you started your career as a geophysicist in Cambridge. Would you mind telling us a bit about what inspired you to start a career in STEM?
So I loved physics. I really loved physics, and I loved mathematics. And in some ways, I think I had it easy because I went to a girls' school, and it was a state-funded place, but it was a girls' school, and therefore there was you just did what subjects you were good at. And it wasn't until I actually got to Cambridge, and I can literally remember going into a lecture hall for the first time and looking around at like 150 people and going, what have I done? Because they were predominantly men. So I just loved the subjects, and once I got hooked, then I wasn't going to give them up for whatever reason. And so I went on, did a degree and a PhD. I did a lot of numerical modelling, so it was computer sciences when that was still really the early days. I loved that. But then I was working on the deep Earth structure, and I got interested in kind of how the kind of knowledge that was being created around me was actually getting into public life, because it takes time, you know? And so I got interested in how people who are not scientists learn about the science they need for whatever it is that they need to do, like to make a decision about, nuclear power or earthquake prediction or something like that. So I was interested in that. And then that took me to government, and spent quite a lot of time working with government chief scientific advisors and people like that, and then got interested in not just the scientific evidence but also the qualitative evidence that is possible to get, and that's what makes the book.
Which is great. Let's talk about the book Story Listening. So you produced the book, co-authored it with Professor Sarah Dillon. How did that come about? You coined the phrase story listening. I loved the book. It's really like a manual for policymakers, would you say?
I love it. That's the aim. I've got two aims really. One is to make it a manual for policymakers, and the other is to get the term story listening to be used as often as storytelling, because people talk about storytelling a lot, how can I tell that story that will persuade everybody to whatever it is that I want? Story listening is about standing back a little bit and thinking, okay, what are the stories out there, and what do they actually mean? Not what emotional impact do they have on me or you or whatever it might be, but what are they telling us about the way the world is or the way the world might be? Because that then opens up all sorts of possibilities to put alongside the scientific evidence, which is always essential, but actually to think about, say, what climate change might mean, not just how it will affect the rainfall and the heat, but actually how societies might adapt, how and that then will mean we've got a richer range of possibilities. And the same is true with artificial intelligence, which is another of the topics that we look at. There's lots of fascinating stuff. I look at super cool science and love it, and we need more women in as I'm sure you know, in computer science. Hugely, yeah. But actually also, as we think about what that means for the way in which jobs are allocated, or what kind of jobs, or how skills flow, or about how choices are made, or how politics works. It's not just the technology we've got to be thinking about, it's the people and it's the models of societies and of individuals or of families or communities or of the world, and how it works together with the technology.
Dr. Craig, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks very much. And I encourage everyone to read Story Listening, and I will be using it in my everyday language.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.